Next, we're going to talk about a little indie game that I've been playing this week. I don't know if it'll stay a little indie game for very long because I'm really enjoying it. It's called Battle Chasers Nightwar.
Here's something I never thought would get a game made out of it in the modern day.
Yeah, I know. But it's a turn-based RPG, and this is the first turn-based RPG I have played more than like an hour since Persona 5.
You gonna play Divinity?
Maybe. Because the reviews have been so high, I might jump on it.
Was that like the 14th 10 ever given by GameSpot?
Yeah.
GameSpot.
Yeah. It's, I mean, that game's getting huge reviews, so I've certainly thought about jumping on, but I'm also intimidated by it because I realize it's probably going to be really long.
Yeah.
And that is a big point I want to make about Battle Chasers, is that the game is $30, and I've played it now for probably 15 or 16 hours, and it is just getting started. It's a turn-based RPG. The basic setup of the story is there's this legendary warrior who disappeared, but left behind these crazy powerful gauntlets that he had. His daughter is eventually bestowed with the gauntlets, and she joins up with this, I guess, a group of... They're almost like pirates. They fly around in the sky on pirate ships, little Skies of Arcadia-ish. And this group of people essentially protect her and raise her and whatnot. And as the game starts, they're attacked. In order to save them, the elder of the group basically sends them through a wormhole, and they fly through the wormhole. He's trapped on the other side, and then the entire game is the people who went through the wormhole trying to find the rest of their party, and obviously things happen along the way, and there's all kinds of intrigue and plot twists and things like that. Has kind of a cel-shaded, cartoonish art style to it.
Joe Madureira. So.
Yeah, it's not a...
Same guy who did, because it's based on a comic book from like late 90s by the same guy who did the art for the Darksiders games.
Oh, okay, that makes complete sense. It looks a lot like that.
Yeah.
But what is really hitting me about this game is how good it is and how polished it is for $30 and how big it is. When I look at a game like this, it really makes me start to wonder why we're paying so much money for turn-based RPGs.
Yeah, between something like that and Hellblade...
Yeah,
you start to question.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. You're like, wow, like why are other studios charging or other publishers charging so much money for these games when this little studio managed to make something that's in that same league and selling it for half the price? Battle system, it's pretty traditional. I mean, obviously for me personally, every time I play a turn-based RPG now, I'm kind of comparing it to Persona 5 because I spent like 200 hours playing that game.
It was a major event in your life.
It was. It seriously was. Like, if I ever write a memoir about my life, probably that game will like make it into my memoir, the struggle that I had with that game. So inevitably, I'm comparing like every turn-based RPG I play to Persona 5. And it's not as good as Persona 5, don't get me wrong. I mean, Persona 5 has tons of cinemas. Most of the cinemas in this are handled with just talking heads. There are a few sort of animated art still cinemas in the game, and then like one full-on CG cinema that kind of kicks off the whole thing. So the storytelling isn't as polished or robust as you would get in an RPG you pay $60 for. But to me, it's not that big of a loss. The writing is really good. The story is really good. I feel like the characters are developed pretty well. And again, I'm only 15 hours into it, but I already feel like I care about pretty much everyone in the party. And a lot of that is because one of the big tasks in the early part of the game is to find your party. So you crash land on this planet, I guess is what it would be. And part of it is kind of picking up your team members as you go and building out your party. So the battle system in it is pretty simple for turn-based RPGs. There's like this overcharge system where you have your basic like melee attacks. Every character has his basic melee attacks, but then you have abilities as well. And as you use your abilities, it creates overcharge, and every attack that you have has more. And what you can do is you can chain the attacks together among your party members. So basically you keep adding overcharge with every ability that you use, and then the last guy kind of gets to use that whole buildup of overcharge in one last devastating attack. So that makes how you constitute your party really important. Which character you choose as your lead character is really important. And then in battle, making sure that your fight goes in a sequence where you can build as much overcharge as possible to kind of deliver that finishing blow at the end. Repetitive enemies, something that I would probably remark on. You do fight the same enemies probably a little too much. Some of the enemies I fought in the first hour, I'm still seeing here and there in hour 15. So that's maybe one of the caveats that you get with paying half price for a turn-based RPG. But, I play a lot of indie games because we get code for all of them, and a lot of them I give like a spin for an hour and say, oh, this probably isn't worth talking about on GameFace. This isn't worth turning our users onto. This is one of the games that I played that I feel like, yes, like this is, if you like turn-based RPGs, and maybe you finished Persona 5 months ago like I did, and you're now finally ready to jump back into the genre.
You should get Divinity.
No,
but if you already did that...
Well, that's for PC only, though, right now, Divinity Original Sin 2. So,
it'll get there.
It'll eventually come to console.
Although if you're a big turn-based RPG fan, you probably have a PC for them these days.
Probably.
That's kind of
because
where...
a lot of the JRPGs are coming to PC now, too.
Yeah. It's certainly where I play, like all the Tales... Damn it. Trails in the Sky. Those games, I have those for PC now.
Yeah, Trails in the Sky 3 just came out in Japan.
Yeah, can't wait.
2 huge sales, I might add.
Cold Steel?
Yeah, Trails of Cold Steel. So
those are really good if you're into the old Suikoden games. The Trails in the Sky trilogy and then the Trails of Cold Steel trilogy, which are all connected. That is about as close as you get to a modern Suikoden game.
I still don't know why there are no Suikoden games.
Because Konami owned it.
Well... But, I mean, there was all that time before Konami kind of jumped off the cliff.
There was a time when RPGs were not really the thing.
Yeah.
And,
well, they're still kind of not really.
But I think a modern Suikoden could make some waves if you did it right, but it's Konami, so it's not going to be done right. So just leave it.
Kickstarter candidate or crowdfunding candidate.
Yeah, call it another... I mean, it's based on an old Chinese legend. You could make another game out of it and just call it something else.
Wouldn't be the first time that's been done.
108 Stars of Destiny. Go for it.
But I would say one thing, too, about Battle Chasers is that the in-game visuals and the attacks are great. They're extremely varied. Within a few hours, each character has, like, 6 different abilities that they can use. And the characters are they're typical. Like, you have your heavy tank, the guy who can take a ton of damage and dole a ton out, but his magic attacks aren't great, his abilities aren't great. Then you have the lead character, who's basically a female version of Link, and she's kind of the middle-of-the-road person. And then you have, like, the ranger, so to speak, who has a big sword and can deal out a lot of damage, but is susceptible to taking damage. So the characters are pretty well balanced, but they're a little stereotypical, I guess is the best way to put it.
It wasn't the most brilliant comic ever written.
Yeah, I could see that. The characters in the world, though, I mean, they are pretty well written, and the writing is pretty witty.
Well, it was an interesting... Battle Chasers was interesting because it was kind of a bridge between old Image and new Image. It wasn't Image, I don't think, that published it, but it was like... It was a bridge between that 90s era of, like, the art is everything, and we don't care if the story sucks, and the story sucks, you know? And then, like, modern Image is putting out some of the best written comics ever. You know, 21st century Images. Battle Chasers kind of fills that gap a little bit. It's like it's still like really focusing on like the elaborate art, but it's also still trying to tell a story with actual characters and some skill there. So and it's a testament to that game, that property, that it just keeps coming back. Like Battle Chasers resurfaces every few years.
Most people probably never even heard of it.
No, but if you know comic books, you at least seen it.
You have to be as old as us as well.
Somewhat, but you've seen the girl with the gauntlets on an ad somewhere or something in the comic shop you went to or something like that. I've never read one actually, but I just know enough about it because I like Joe Madureira's art. So I keep one ear on him.
Yeah. Another thing I like about this game is that it kind of has some 16-bit aesthetics. There's really no overworld in the game. There's like a big map that is not to scale, so your characters are as tall as trees, you know what I'm talking about? And you kind of go around the map and kind of map your direction you want to go. And then there are towns, but again, the towns, like the buildings, are just little icons. They're not actually buildings that are scaled to size. There's little like mini games in the game. There's like a big fishing component to the game where you need to buy a rod and then get lures, and then you come across ponds throughout the game where you can fish and try to fish out the fish, and then you use that stuff to craft, and there's a big crafting element to the game. It has all the bells and whistles of all the modern turn-based RPGs, but it literally costs half the price. And so I think it's a great value. I think any of you who like turn-based RPGs are going to like it a lot. I mean, based upon what I've played so far, it looks like I'm going to get 30, 40 hours out of this thing for $30. So kind of hard to pass that up. So it's on pretty much every platform. All of you can buy it. It's on PC and all the consoles. I think the Switch version might be coming out a little later, which is pretty typical right now as sort of developers get up to speed on that hardware. But right now it's on Xbox One, PS4, PC. I will say I'm playing the PS4 version, and there's slowdown.
Huh.
Which, it's an isometric game, so it can control at all times what's being shown, and there's some stages where literally it just slows down to a crawl, which is a little odd.
Interesting.
That could be something.
Well, we'll talk about something related to that in another game later in the show as well.
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying. I think it's part of our job to kind of turn you guys on to under the radar games that you may miss. This is one that I think you guys will all enjoy, provided you're a fan of turn-based RPGs. And I think it's also comes at a good spot because people have finally kind of come down off that Persona 5 high. And so I think it's found a good spot for its release in there where people are kind of open to maybe playing one of these games again. So Battle Chasers Nightwar, I recommend it.